I was watching this ESPN, and some of these guys, man, I'm like, look, I'm watching the ESPN. Some of these guys, I wonder how they get jobs. But they were talking about Kristaps Porzingis. I guess he skipped out on the team meeting with the Knicks. And with me, man, what I don't understand with the whole shit with him was that he only in his second year. I mean, like, his whole focus really should be just getting better. Why be frustrated with where the team is going? It can't, like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, I mean, things just, it takes a little time for some of these situations to work. But the team, man, anybody that watched, because I watched them like the first probably 40 games of the year. And after a while, I just kind of like checked out on them. After, I think when school started, the second half of the year, once class started rolling in about February, where I had to really kind of study, I kind of fell off watching them. But I watched them definitely because of the Rose and Noah connection. And like, they have that core of players that they have has a chance to be a contender in the East. They can't beat Cleveland, but the thing about it is Porzingis is the type of player that can, you know what I'm saying, he's a franchise player, so he can change the whole fortunes of a whole entire franchise. I believe that this guy can be that because on both ends of the floor, it's not been a guy that can move like that at 7'4" and has the range, the shooting range, and the ability to be a defensive stopper on the back end the way that this guy is, man. So, you know, at the end of the day, he's gonna have to become a center. But it's not been many guys like that, man. Yeah, like who has that type of skill set at that size that could be a problem on both ends of the floor. He could change the whole fortunes of that whole Knicks franchise. So only thing he needs to focus on is becoming strong, getting stronger, so he can keep his position in the post. And the defense and all the, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the stamina or whatever, you know what I'm saying, the conditioning and things like that, which is traditional. That's the only thing he should really focus on. But that Knicks squad in general, the core of the players, the core that they got, they're not that bad. Yeah. 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 All right. All right, so, all right. Yep. All right. It's crazy. All right. My fault. But like you were saying, the core of the squad is not that bad, man. Like the team, like I watched a lot of the games. I mean, they beat Chicago, I think 3 out of 4 times, and Chicago had the 8 seed. I'm trying to think. They competed with Milwaukee, who fought their way up to a 6 seed. Like they competed. I mean, they beat. I think they split with Milwaukee. They were the 6 seed. Atlanta, every game they played with Atlanta went down to the wire. Only team that they played that handled them was Washington. Handled them up real tough. I think it's just a matchup in Cleveland whooped their ass. But everybody else, Boston, they competed with. Toronto, they competed with. That's why, like, a lot of these dudes, they don't know basketball or they don't watch the games. They just say a bunch of craziness. And they were like, yo, you put Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. I get tired of these guys using them as the scapegoats for how the squad, how the team ended up. I mean, Rose played well. Rose shot 47% from the field. Defensively, they were garbage. You know, like, of course, they need to tighten that up defensively. But defensively, it's all about effort and the system. So it's something that they got to fix within that coaching staff, or maybe it could be the players. But I don't see them being Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. I don't think are guys that don't have effort on defense because they were part of championship level defensive teams in Chicago. Now they were at the prime. They didn't have the injuries that they had, but still, though, I mean, the defense is more about effort, man. So I don't think all of a sudden they're not going to stop. They're going to not play defense, you know. But no, I mean Noah was hurt pretty much all year, and I don't know the type of guy, I don't know the type of player that he's going to be coming up, but he's still going to be a valuable, valuable veteran presence who knows how to play. You know what I'm saying? He's a big body, and again, and the way the league is going now, certain matchups he's not going to. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be certain matchups where he's not going to be effective. So, but against traditional bigs, because I know in the games against the traditional bigs, the dude got you 10 points, 12 to 15 rebounds, and 3-4 assists because he got the minutes. And he was playing against like a Drummond or a Dwight, traditional bigs when we played against when they played against like a they play against traditional teams like who got bigs like San Antonio. I had to check the stats for that, but I know against Drummond he played really well. I know against Dwight he played real well. And there was some other games too where he brung it against traditional teams who had the bigs playing, but the teams that stretched the flow out and things like that, it was probably games where he didn't even get the minutes. But they got the two kids, O'Quinn and Hernan Gomez. They have an intriguing squad. But with me, like the dude was on ESPN talking about, well, he can't play with Derrick Rose. He's a shoot first point guard. Look, man, in the league, that doesn't even make sense. That's why a lot of these guys are wondering why they not on TV. I'm like, how they saying that they shoot first point guards? Most of the point guards in the league pretty much now are offensive heavy guys. So what are they, you know what I'm saying? What does that make? Sense does that make? This is the thing. He was the third option on his team behind Carmelo and Porzingis. Those were the two options. And if anybody who watched the game knows that. He was the third option, still able to give you 18, 4, and 4 on 47% shooting. Phil Jackson was, I guess he still thought about bringing him back. I think, if I'm them, unless I'm going out, I'm going to get a point guard, a quality point guard or in the draft or something, or they're gonna. It's not that many point guards out there. You're gonna get a Lowry. Lowry's not going to New York. He's getting his ass beat in Cleveland against Cleveland and Toronto on a decent Toronto squad. So he's not coming. You're not getting the Chris Paul. You're not getting none of these top flight point guards. So you might as well stick with him. You might as well stick with Rose, or unless you're gonna blow up the squad and then just rebuild again and be competing for a number one pick again. But the team that they got, in my opinion, is not that bad. They just need to close out games better and play better defense. The defensive end, they were terrible, and closing out games, they used to let a lot of teams back in the game. They let a lot of these teams in the game. But the guy was talking about like he should be frustrated. Why would he be frustrated with playing with Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose? Like, these guys are established veterans that have won 60 games before. Like, Joakim Noah won 2 championships in the NCAA. Derrick Rose, if it wasn't for a crazy three-pointer by Chalmers, was a national title. You know what I'm saying? Would have won a national title at Memphis. They were winning 60 games. They won 50, 60 games a year in Chicago. They were winning those games. So all of a sudden, they're not quality veterans that know how to win like that. These guys, I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like, they just talk that scapegoat shit. It don't make any sense. They just need to keep that group together. And out of any of those teams that's out there outside of Washington, man, maybe Washington can compete with possibly Boston if they made us a move or two. But they don't have quite enough to compete with a Cleveland. But they don't have the type of players that impact the game. Like, Washington has a John Wall, who's maybe the best point guard in the league. Milwaukee has a Giannis, who is like, you know what I'm saying, possibly could be the best player in the world in the next 3-4 years. Like, Porzingis is the type of guy that you could say has a chance to be that type of impact player, man. Like, I don't like making the type, he could be that. He could be a Dirk. He could have that type of impact. He could be a Dirk type of player with the defensive value, with way more defensive value. That's how he makes me think. He's like Dirk with the defensive value, man. And Dirk was Dirk was a true franchise player that you could build your team around. And every year you would have a top a top seed in the West and a championship contender. So Porzingis ain't got to do really nothing but ball, man. Just get in the gym, get better, work on your strength and conditioning, and get into that post a little bit more. But this the guy, I mean, he hitting 200 3-pointers a year, man, at 7'3". The guy's incredible. Like Carmelo is, I mean, to me, man, I guess Jackson go force Carmelo out, but to me, I like the team the way they are because they have a franchise player and they have veterans. They have a mix of veterans and young guys that are intriguing. They got the kid Holiday. I always like Justin Holiday. They had O'Quinn, solid big body. Hernan Gomez, solid big body. You know, like solid, you know what I'm saying, young big men. Like, they played the kid from Wichita State, Ron Baker. He could be a really good backup point guard, you know? So, you know what I'm saying, a good backup point guard who can hit open jump shots and run the offense. A lot of this stuff is like, yo, you gotta watch the games, man. Like, but New York ain't really, with that group, they're not that far away. You know, so that's what the thing. But the guy was scapegoating, Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. These guys are established veterans who are winners, man. That's the thing. Like when you used to winning, they don't like losing either. These guys want to win. Like, I think it's like the first time in the first time in probably Derrick Rose's life where like, yo, for 2 straight years he's been out the postseason. Same thing with Noah. Like every year they were competing. You know what I'm saying? They were in the NCAA or when they came to Chicago, they were in the playoffs. They were competing in the playoffs. And to me, man, I might be a homer or a Chicago homer or whatever, forget it. But if Rose hadn't tore his knee in 2012, I think they beat Miami, yo. I think they possibly win a championship. They squeezed through and win a championship one of those years without the injuries. Especially if Jimmy Butler would have developed the way that he continued to develop year by year, they would have won because that 2012 squad had a little bit more offense, man. When they brought in Rip Hamilton, man, that was an X factor in that series that could have, you know what I'm saying, really definitely changed the way that series went when they brought in Rip that year. But that's either here nor there. But back to what I'm saying about the Knicks, man. Like, to me, the squad ain't that bad, man. I think, like, yo, if you actually, like, look at the stats and who they played against the teams that made the playoffs, look at how they competed against those teams that made the playoffs. You'll tell that they're not that far away. They just need to play better defense, that can be within the coaching staff and maybe the players. But you need another year with that group to see where they at. But they're not a laughing stock because I watched them play and I'm like, yo, this team is not that bad. They're not that far off. They just got to defend and they got to stop letting teams back in the game. They'll get off or they'll play well and they'll let games slip away and things like that, which comes with just, you know what I'm saying, getting more comfort with each other. Other than things like that. But that's pretty much it, man. Just like some of these guys, man, I don't understand how they get on TV or radio or I don't know how they get on, man, because if Porzingis is frustrated with having Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, they're not the reason why that team was garbage. You know? Like, it was plenty of times down the stretch of some of those games. Where Kristaps, my fault. It was times down the stretch where Kristaps didn't step up the way he's supposed to and make clutch shots. I know in a couple of the Atlanta game, he missed free throws and airballed certain shots. Airballed, I think, an wide open 3. So he missed times where, like, in crucial situations where he didn't, you know what I'm saying, he didn't step up. But that's just the way it is, though. You know? But, I mean, it's everybody's fault, so he shouldn't be frustrated. Just get better, man. But to me, he has a chance to have a Dirk and the Whiskey type of impact on the squad, which means that every year You were already in the top 3 in the conference, and you have the ability to take over games, and there's nobody on the court that can defend you, you know, and that's a franchise player, man. So everybody else around them just gonna fall in place. All right, peace.